Now, we can say, does Jesus know really? Does he really know the day and the hour? Well, I would say this. Jesus' divine nature and his human nature are operating in a sophisticated way. In his divine nature, he knows all things. But when operating through his human nature, he is ignorant of certain things. And one of the things of which Jesus is ignorant is the day and the hour. But he knows that a whole series of events are going to happen leading up to the events, the end of the world. And he knows what's going to happen when the world ends. So his human nature is sieving those things. So he knows those through his human nature. But it's a decision of God not to know the day and the hour in his human nature at that point. Like when Jesus, remember when Jesus, when the woman who touches his clothes, when she's got an issue of blood, and he turns around and he says, "Who touched me?" He genuinely means, "Who touched me?" He's not kidding, you know. I know who touched me, but I'm pretending. He didn't know. And that's because through his human nature, the divine nature operates in a limited way under certain circumstances.
So the divine power came out of him, but the mind didn't know how this divine power operated within him. So
Well,
it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think
Interrelationship.
I would say his mind knew how the divine power operated, but he just didn't know. He knew somebody had touched his garments, but he just looked around the crowd and he didn't know which person had touched his garments. And that's a human thing. Now, of course, if he were operating solely as God, not through his human nature, then Jesus would have known the woman immediately. The woman had touched him, but because he's got a job to do on earth, he's fulfilling his mission. Then he's going to operate in limitations.
Limitations.
Yes. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. He wouldn't be fully man.
Yeah, limitations as a baby as well, you know. So he gradually was learning new things.
Yes.
Growing as he was doing.
Yes.
You know, and St. Luke has summarized it. He was progressing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And of
but
course
God does not progress.
No, that's it. So it means the human nature is developing, but he's God, the person of God. So in his human nature, he operates and becomes more knowledgeable in his human nature as time passes, according to St. Luke. Right?